gotta watch that 5-round MMA, y'all.
Welcome everyone, this is 5-Round MMA. My name is Alex Ramirez, alongside my in-studio co-host Albert Cita, and on the phone we have from, are you in Orlando now, Guillermo? Guillermo Cita on the phone?
We don't know where he's at.
I'm in Orlando right now, area. Hopefully here within 2 to 3 weeks I'll relocate back to Cali.
Yeah, last time we convened, which was about a month ago, you were in California saying you're moving back here to the Golden State or Sunshine State, whatever. What's called California's Golden State, right? Florida's Sunshine State. A lot has happened since then. We were on a little bit of hiatus. The man over to my right, Mr. Albert Cita, became a papa for the first time.
Why? I have no idea.
Just for the fun of it, or what? Yes. Does that have a kid? See what happens?
Announcement to everybody else: you really should think about if you really want to become a parent. I think we live in a generation where I don't think everyone needs to have kids. But
hey, Guillermo, so you're the proud parent of two young boys. And what advice can you give to your brother here in the early stages of parenthood?
Just keep at it, man. It's tough.
Keep having babies? Is that what you mean?
No.
Huh? Keep at it, keep having babies? Is that what you mean?
No. I'm just saying that is kind of high maintenance. Any kid, the changing, the feeding, and just stay at it, man.
Well, to all fairness, you did have a corgi, right, Albert?
Yeah, I have a corgi dog. But it's about, I'm not gonna lie, it's about the same thing.
The same.
Yeah,
and
they nag at me when they're hungry, and when they do number 2, that's about it.
Tomato, right? And as for me, I have no other further commitments other than to myself. Which
not
is
even a dog, huh? You don't even got a dog.
I even got a fish, bro. I barely can control myself. I like it that way. I've been surviving so far. I'm into my early 30s. Gotten to, this far with this commitment to myself. I think I'm kind of sticking out for a little longer, see how it goes from there. We have one of our other friends. Our friend Ricky actually recently got engaged, and we have a group text with all of us in there. And I think one of the guys said that Alex is the last of a dying breed because I have yet to commit to anything other than myself. And I decided to keep it that way, gentlemen. Let's see what the. I'm sure you guys have like a pool going, right?
Got the betting pool.
You got the betting pool going. Well, this week's show, we're a little bit of a break because obviously life does happen, and it gave us a chance to kind of rethink what 5-round MMA is, and we are going to kind of for all the long-time listeners, we have incorporated a lot of professional wrestling talk into this show. So now I think going forward, we're going to have a little bit more dedication to pro wrestling because as you can see, the last two UFC pay-per-view events, UFC 226 and UFC 225, both have some heavy influence in the professional wrestling world with CM Punk losing his last fight at UFC 225, then Brock Lesnar making his return at UFC 226. So we're going to incorporate some more professional wrestling talks. I'm sure we might lose some listeners, but hopefully we'll actually gain some more listeners in on this going forward here. So let's start with round number one. UFC 226 main event. DC down 2 division champion knocks out Stipe Miocic in the first round. Was that the time? I don't know the official time. First round. Guillermo Cita, what does this do for Daniel Cormeir's legacy being a 2 division champion?
It's up there, man. It's a legit legacy for him. I mean, like, no one saw it coming. I didn't even take DC in the fight. I took Stipe. I mean,
yeah, so did I.
But the thing is, it was no disrespect to DC because I think he's awesome. The thing is,
it was total disrespect.
Everything that Stipe Miocic has done here recently is pretty amazing. I mean, to take down Nagano, to take down Junior Dos Santos, I mean, along the way, I mean, like, how can you bet against them? That's the thing. And DC has been away from the heavyweight division for such a long time, and given his age, I just didn't see it. But good to him. I mean, I like DC, so I wasn't gonna be sad either way, whoever won.
Albert, what do you think about DC? Dana White mentioned that finally DC is getting the respect he deserves after Saturday night. Do you agree with that statement?
I think so. I think he had a big old dark cloud over him named John Bones Jones.
Yeah.
That a lot of people, for some odd reason, couldn't get past claiming DC as a light heavyweight champion because of John Jones. But people forget the huge success DC had in the heavyweight division. He's a Grand Prix champion, for crying out loud.
Yep.
And I agree with Dana White's statement. I think finally people are recognizing that DC is among the greatest of the great, despite his 2 losses against John Bones Jones. Even though
one of them's asterisk.
I think they both should be asterisk because
one of them was cocaine, the other one was like PD, right? Yeah, okay.
So I say you put asterisk on both of them. I don't care how the fight ended. But what impressed me, the guy last time he fought heavyweight was in 2013.
Oh wow.
And that's just ridiculous that he went 5 years and then now goes back up. And by the way, he did not look good at carrying that extra weight. I'll tell you that much.
He carries on his midsection, right?
He looked like baby Roy Nelson out there, by the way.
He's all in his belly here. Hey, Guillermo, so people who've listened to the show for a long time know that you have called Stipe Miocic a future champ since this guy was like on the undercard. You have been following
JDS.
You've been following his career a lot. How does Stipe bounce back, and what does he need to do to get back in the title picture following this knockout loss?
Well, the thing is, it's tough because you have the uprising of Ngannou, and he was able to weather those punches and weather Junior Dos Santos. So I just don't see how DC was able to knock him out. But I mean, based on that knockout, really eliminates immediate rematch.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Ngannou that did poorly, but when it's all said and done, you did have a winner yesterday, and that was Derek Lewis. So Derek Lewis versus Stipe Miocic, I think, would be a good matchup for one of them to at least be in contention for the next title shot, because Ngannou, his stock has definitely dropped.
Yeah.
Here, I think he's gonna recover it, but for right now, it's. I mean, I think Dana White's pissed with them. He's in the doghouse.
Talking about Ngannou, right?
Yeah, Ngannou. Now, if Derek Lewis can stay healthy and lose a couple pounds, because I heard his post conference, he's having those back spasms, so they recommended he lose a little bit of weight.
Mm.
And if he does that, I think him versus Stipe Miocic would be the most logical matchup right now.
Yeah, yesterday Curtis Blades out there too. He was actually in attendance on Saturday night, so he's kind of a sleeper, I guess, like a hardcore fan's pick.
Well, the thing is, Curtis Blades actually had a finish, and Derek Lewis didn't.
Yeah.
So I think Curtis Blades gets on top of Derek Lewis.
Yeah. So real quick before we end this round here, does DC stay 2 divisions, or does he give up light heavyweight to stay heavyweight, or what does he do?
I mean, he's 39 years old. I said you 100% stay in 2 divisions. I said he runs it back one more time in light heavyweight, and then he runs it one more time in heavyweight.
Well, for sure. One more time he has November and Brock, and then so that means the light heavyweight division is going to be on hold until next year. But we'll get into
which is correct.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, who is in that division that's really going to be like a standout, like waiting, like, oh man, this guy deserves a shot. This is kind of bullcrap. Nobody's really crying for that. In the immediate post effects of UFC 226, I don't see any light heavyweight saying, hey man, that's not fair, blah 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 blah. So even when DC announced this fight versus Stipe, there's no real light heavyweights out there crying or even deserve to be heard because hey, this division is kind of in influx right now. So that's it for round number 1, I believe. Right, we're done with the time.
No, we have 7 seconds.
7 seconds
so
left.
You better milk it.
Brock Lesnar coming up next, round number 2. Before we do, the Brock Lesnar effect. We're gonna continue this conversation at UFC 226 in the second round. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Time for round number 2. Our conversation for UFC 226 continues after Daniel Cormeir knocked out Stipe Miocic to claim the UFC heavyweight champion. Chip, Brock Lesnar was brought into the octagon and said, hey, we're going to square off, cut a promo on the guy, a little shoving match here and there. Some say it's too WWE. I don't like it. But here, it's going to sell tickets, wolf tickets. I don't know. If you're the Diaz brothers, maybe it is. But the Lesnar effect, what do you make of Brock being Octagon side on Saturday, Albert?
I 100% love it, and for all those idiots out there, even the actual MMA fighters that were hating on it, saying like, "Oh, this isn't WWE." Listen, stupid, they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, they're going to fight. Regardless if they do some promos, scripted, unscripted, it doesn't matter, you idiot. They're going to fight at the end of the day. That's the major difference, and you can't change that.
Yeah.
The fight's not going to be fixed. They're going to throw blows. Someone's going to get taken down, and someone's going to win, and someone's going to lose.
Well, I bet you, all those fighters who are complaining would love to be on that
exactly. What they don't understand, though, is the ticket sales are crazy. I kid you not. If after I saw that, and the next thing that popped up was go ahead and pre-order DC versus Brock Lesnar right now, I would have pre-ordered it at that very moment, and that's what it's about. You can't fight if you don't sell tickets. tickets, right? You don't make the big money like Conor McGregor if you don't sell tickets. And I thought that did a wonderful job selling tickets. People love drama. There's a reason why people do tune into WWE. There is an aspect of that entertainment why it's so popular.
Smack talking.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for them to embrace it, I loved it. And for those idiots out there that think that it was too fake or too scripted, it doesn't matter. It was entertainment at the end of the day. I loved it. I hope they have more walkouts like that. But man, but if you're gonna have Brock Lesnar go up there, you better have more security.
Our in-house heavyweight division expert, Guillermo, what do you think about Brock Lesnar?
I wouldn't say expert, but it's such a disrespect to even have him there present.
Wow.
I mean, here's the thing: is you're creating a storyline. It's like the whole WWE situation where all of a sudden someone, hey, I have nobody to contend my belt, and then all of a sudden some random whoever they're throwing in the storyline comes in. And there's no rhyme or reason for this rivalry. There's no rhyme or reason.
We did complain about that.
Well, that's the thing is there's no rivalry here. There's no bad blood. Had John Jones been in the crowd, that's a different story. And it's a disrespect also because, and this is why it's so WWE. Brock Lesnar, his last fight was against Mark Hunt. He was suspended indefinitely.
But did he destroy Mark Hunt?
For a year but he cheated, right?
Yeah.
He cheated. He was
Allegedly.
I think he failed the test.
Oh, okay.
He's not even in the UFC. When's the last time you fought? When you got guys like Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, Derek Lewis
nice
fought
pull.
earlier in that day, and you're not even going to have them present.
I see Guillermo has Wikipedia open as well.
Yeah, no, that Volkov pull was a deep one, bro.
Yeah, well, but my point is that you got these guys that day in, day out are training constantly, keeping the UFC afloat, and then all of a sudden, and this shows you the decline of the UFC in the light heavyweight and the heavyweight division, that there's no stars, that they have to bring this guy from WWE and put on a show to entertain the fans.
So there's also another side to this. MMA fans and UFC fans are upset, but professional wrestling and WWE fans are upset because, hey, our Universal Champion, who Brock Lesnar is finally on television, just not on WWE television. So, Albert, as a professional wrestling fan, do you even have a problem with Brock Lesnar being a part-time champion?
Absolutely not. Because if you've been watching...
He's a special attraction, right?
Yeah, he's a special attraction, and too much Brock Lesnar, you get tired of Brock Lesnar. He reminds me of the Abyss in TNA, where if you saw too much Abyss, man, you don't want to see that no more. And at the same time, you idiots out there again, you...
call him a mark.
You damn marks. Seth Rollins and the Intercontinental Belt have been killing it on Raw. They're the backbone of the company right now, and they're showing that if you want to make a belt worth something, it doesn't matter which belt you carry. It's a matter of the way they show it, the way they have the matches. If you've been tuning into Raw, every single Raw, there's been a really good Intercontinental Championship, whether it be Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler or anybody in the, as long as the IC belt's in there. And for crying out, Finn Balor deserves to be in the main event spot. Strowman's over. Absolutely not. If you're a wrestling fan, if anything, you should be more excited because this is just going to set up a two-part thing. We're going to get an MMA fight out of this, and then we're going to get a WrestleMania DC versus Brock Lesnar. For some odd reason, Bobby Lashley's going to be the referee. I love it.
What about you, Guillermo? As a wrestling fan, do you like Brock Lesnar just kind of not defending his title and the way they're kind of handling him on wrestling television?
I hate it because then what storylines is there building towards that heavyweight championship? Is like, it's pathetic. Like, so are you gonna push Braun Strowman that he has the money, the briefcase?
Oh yeah, Money in the Bank.
I've told you guys from day one that right now, at this very moment, Dolph Ziggler is the best wrestler in WWE. Period. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know about a period. I'll put like a ...
Maybe a comma.
Anyways,
maybe a comma.
It matters that they're not fighting for him and Seth Rollins fighting for the Intercontinental Championship instead of the World Heavyweight. Oh, Albert, I'm really gonna bust my ass for the second best belt in the company. No, man, you want the World Heavyweight Championship.
Universal Championship.
And so, and when you have the two best wrestlers right now going at it, and their Raw matches are amazing, dude. Imagine a pay-per-view match between Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. They're going to blow the roof off of it.
Yeah.
So I do
Yeah,
have a
with
problem
the
Brock
IC
Lesnar
belt. So you don't need the Universal.
Well, I mean...
you don't need it, but it would increase that rivalry.
The merit,
more. And the thing is, you got a part timer when you have a legitimate rivalry going on.
Let's keep it 100 right now. Hulk Hogan was always a part-time wrestler, guy. You know who carried that company? Macho Man and everybody else that had the IC belt. Hulk Hogan was always a part-time wrestler. Don't give me that crap that he was full-time on the road.
Historically, the Intercontinental Championship has been like the workers' belt.
Yeah.
Like the best wrestler, quote unquote, like the best wrestler always had that championship, and it kind of. It was on the Miz for a while, and that it wasn't really true. But now it's on Seth Rollins. So more like when you have Dolph and Rollins fighting for wrestling for it. So the two best guys are wrestling for that belt. But like I said, it's not the championship, so it is the second biggest belt on the show. That's it for round number 2. We're coming to round number 3. Kind of do an overall recap of UFC 226. Talk about other fights that you guys want to talk about. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back. Time for round number 3. So let's take a look at the rest of the event of UFC 226. Let's start with Guillermo's boy, the Platinum one, Mike Perry, destroying Paul Felder, sending him to the hospital. Last I saw Paul Felder, he was on a stretcher, Guillermo.
This is a warning. We're no longer a PG show.
No.
So Guillermo might drop some inappropriate language.
I'm just saying, last I saw Paul Felder, he was on a stretcher being carried out on an ambulance. Thanks to Platinum Mike Perry, Guillermo. Your rebuttal, sir.
Well, the rebuttal is that Paul Felder broke his own hand, dude. Mike Perry, and the thing is, Paul Felder took it on short notice in a weight class he's not even in. Mike Perry looked a little bit better, I would say. But I mean, like, look at the camp he went to now. Jackson Winklejohn instead of training himself. I mean, it's a different Mike Perry, but he's still a douchebag. So regardless,
The lucky went from? Say it. He got lucky? Is that what you're saying, Guillermo?
No, he didn't get lucky. He got lucky that he faced off against someone that was a little bit lighter. But I mean, like, who was he gonna fight that got moved over?
I don't even know.
I can't think of his name. But he was gonna main event against.
It was supposed to be Yancy
Medeiros. Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I want to see what's it calling, Mike Perry. See where he goes from this, because yes, he looked a little bit better out there, but I'm still not convinced.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he needed a win. What is he, 0-2, Albert, the last two fights? He, like you said, he gets people under people's skin. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who agree with Guillermo here that he's kind of a douchebag. But, I mean, you kind of need that guy on the card, or at least in pay-per-view, to stay kind of relevant so people could tune in. Albert, what about you? What else do you want to talk about? Anthony Pettis came back.
Anthony Pettis, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry to hate on you, bro. But he's just... It's
a swag. That's what he's like.
It's a love and hate relationship with me and Anthony Pettis. And he showed that he belongs still in the 155 division. Michael Chester looked like a chump, bro. But I did want to talk about the Francis Ngannou fight.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Just because... Dude, how do you get such a mental breakdown?
That was boring.
How do you not? He didn't even throw a punch. It didn't even look like they were sparring. I seen more action in sparring matches than I did in that fight. I have never seen a guy so hot in Francis Ngannou. I mean, I was about to go grab a T-shirt of Francis Ngannou. I was about to,
You about to move to Africa, weren't you?
I was going to bleach like one little part of my hair just to give it some tribute to him. And then all of a sudden, now he's in the bottom of the barrel. Like Gilman was saying earlier that maybe he should be in the heavyweight. No, dude. Honestly, I'll put him all the way. He needs to go back down to Stefan Struve, bro, and work his way back up.
He has to fight Travis Brownie after this.
After that horrible performance. And to tell you the truth, you know what I'm going to do with this whole week? I'm just going to troll. I'm literally going to look up anything that Francis Ngannou says, because I really want to get to the bottom of this. I really want to know what happened.
What's his thought process?
Yeah.
So to rebuttal, I think one of the issues that I saw, one, is Ngannou mentally wasn't there. And usually when you see, like, especially like boxing, so in boxing somebody high level loses, to get back that confidence, they put him against someone really, really, really low, someone they know they can destroy. Ngannou didn't get that chance. He right away against a contender, Derek Lewis. The only thing that's upsetting is that Derek Lewis was physically showing that his back was hurting, and I understand maybe Ngannou was holding on to make sure he didn't tank out like last time or get tired physically. But I mean, when Derek Lewis was hurting,
but then why not go out even in the third round, knowing that the fight's about to end?
Yeah, I know. That's what he should have done. But I guess he didn't want to get embarrassed, like he got embarrassed against Stipe Miocic.
It just made absolutely no sense to me. I don't know if he was even. I think he was having concussion. what do you call it, symptoms during the fight.
But if you would have put Nagano versus Arlovsky or Stefan Struve, someone kind of like borderline low tens, I bet you you build Nagano's confidence. I mean, I don't think nobody knew that he was so weak mentally after that loss against Stipe Miocic. But what I did want to talk about, Alex, is my boy Paulo Costa.
Oh yeah, you want to let's inform everybody about your. Let's kind of back everybody up. Let's inform Guillermo's man crush on Paulo Costa. He has now. The group text is like, this guy's body's amazing. I love his body.
Well, the thing is that we talk about Yoel Romero having like the perfect body and like.
Well, he's made out of stone, bro.
Yeah.
There's a difference between Costa and Yoel, though.
Well, the thing is that there's competition now for Yoel Romero's, and that's Paulo Costa, and what he did to Uriah Hall is amazing.
I saw Uriah Hall quit. That's what I saw, and I don't think Yoel Romero quits, bro. That guy's made out of stone.
I understand that. But if I look down the list, that fight against Uriah Hall puts Paulo Costa at least in the top 6 or 7. Because Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares lost. I mean, David Branch hasn't really been too active.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
So the next matchup for Paulo Costa, I mean, you're talking about. I would skip Derek Brunson and David Branch, but Jacare, Chris Weidman, Luke Walker versus Paulo Costa. You're talking about a good matchup, dude. And I think that was the most intriguing fight in the whole card because of the letdown between Nagano and Derek Lewis, and then douchebag Chiesa, douchebag Mike Perry. So Paulo Costa had the biggest impact story-wise or ranking-wise.
Yeah, I think it's for round number 3. We'll take a small break and come back into the championship round. See if hey, Albert, Alex, Gamble, what about you? The tough 27 finale. I didn't. Nah, sorry guys, we're not gonna talk about that.
I want some of it.
It was Friday night. I had other plans too. That's it for round number 3. We're gonna take a small break and come back and enter the championship rounds. But before we do, let's give a shout out to one of our few sponsors, Mobilitas Mobility Tools, the best mobility tools on the planet. Durable, portable, manufacturer release products designed with more grip to better restore muscle to its original health. Supple, sexy, and luxurious designs get you the best foam rollers, little foam peanuts, tennis balls. Get those knots out of your back, those sore legs you got. Foam rollers are great. Use promo code 5RoundMMA. It's number 5RoundMMA for 20% off your order. Tell them 5RoundMMA sent you. And a big shout out to 5 Rounds clothing lines. 5 Rounds offers unique collection of apparel and accessories. They incorporate the culture, style, and attitude of mixed martial arts in their clothing line. They're constantly evolving and improving to become the best fight wear company possible in the MMA world. They make the fighter and fight fan look good. Check out their line of t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and other great accessories at 5rounds.clothing and follow them on Twitter at 5roundswear and on Instagram at 5rounds_. 5 Rounds, get it on. Championship rounds coming up next. Welcome back. We're going to switch gears now and talk a little bit professional wrestling, pro wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. Well, actually, you call it professional wrestling or sports entertainment, right? There's a very hard line between us marks here. It's either pro wrestling or sports entertainment. But New Japan Pro Wrestling returned to the United States still this past Saturday with a G1 special in San Francisco. This was the second time.
Cows, or was it the Palace?
The Cow Palace or something? Yeah. They're up north somewhere.
Very old school arena.
Yeah, but this is the second time on the U.S. soil.
Hardcore marks were very hard on that place, though. I'll tell you that. All I saw was on the comment thing.
Yeah.
Is I mean, we're talking about the cream of the crop of marks.
Yeah.
How much they were so happy that's going back to the Cow Palace. I remember when I was fucking 4 and I saw Sergeant Slaughter and blah blah.
It's funny, but like I'll give an opportunity. You would have gone on Saturday, right?
No, you
mark. He calls it a mark, but this guy he's a mark himself.
I mean, I don't care if it was arena. It was, though. It could have been in Long Beach again. I don't care.
So the good thing about I was talking about professional wrestling. We have literally 2 aspects here. We have Albert and myself. We're kind of on the hardcore side of things. We follow indie wrestling. We like this stuff. And
then you got John Cena's #1 fan member.
On the phone here.
Who still believes in Roman Reigns.
So again, this is obviously some of the biggest stars right now in WWE, like Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura. I think that's about it.
Come on now, AJ Styles.
All has spent time in New Japan and wrestling Japan, and this is a big deal for Japan wrestling. Twice United States. Is this even like a blimp on your radar, Guillermo, as a sports entertainment wrestling fan? I mean, you do watch WWE, you watch WCW, you watch Impact. When the back was TNA, but is New Japan at all in North America, United States a big deal to you at all?
Until you guys told me or prepared me before the round started that they were in the United States, I had no idea. I don't care. I mean, New Japan. I can't even name you the heavyweight championship. I can't name you none of the belts that they had.
Yeah. IWGP.
I mean, the thing is, as long as they're in San Francisco or Sacramento, I mean, if they're in the Cal area, that'll be Sacramento. That just shows you that they're nowhere near making a blimp. I mean, they're in Madison Square Garden or at the Staples Center, then talk to me. I mean, at the end of the day, all you little marks and stuff like that will pay your $20 to wipe your sweat with. But I mean that's not real entertainment to me. I mean,
wow.
Not even Chris Jericho making a surprise appearance because his past couple of New Japan.
But the thing is, like, Chris Jericho's on there, and yet I don't see it making a blip. I don't see it being bought out by Fox to promote or to show New Japan. You get me?
True.
I mean, like, until it gets to that point, I mean, like, to me, it's for all you hardcore wrestling fans that like crap.
No storylines.
Crap camera angles and crap. You guys are all in it for the wrestling, not necessarily the best storylines in the world.
This is how Guillermo's so misinformed. Oh my gosh, Kenny Omega is so hard. Right? I have the biggest hard on for Kenny Omega right now.
Is it Paulo Costa?
Just before you marks get on there like, I've only liked them since New Japan. No, I like Kenny Omega since way back in the day. Since in PWG he made his debut. Yeah. I was on the Kenny Omega train. I downloaded his track off of some like janky site just to have his little Firewire song. I could have got viruses over that. The point is, Guillermo, they are in another level. They're in the level that WWE actually wishes they were at. I don't know if you ever heard of a YouTube channel called Being the Elite. If you follow Being the Elite, you see the storyline behind the scenes that carries over to not just New Japan but Ring of Honor cards as well, and it kind of ties all back into this YouTube channel. For the longest time, WWE has tried to make a presence in social media, and as much as facts quote they put up on Raw that they were the most tweeted
trending worldwide.
They do not have a social media presence that they would want to have, and I think Being the Elite is a staple. Matter of fact, they had to go and piggyback off of Austin Creed's channel because Up Down is so popular, and WWE wishes they had that type of presence, and Being the Elite has it. That's the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Cody Rhodes makes his appearance. Martin Scurll. They're doing what WWE wishes they could do, and they don't have a network backing. Imagine if these guys had the funding WWE had. Get out of here, man. It will be in another universe, dog. And I'm telling you, they're in another level, Guillermo, that you just got to evolve as a fan.
Here's the thing: is they're not at that level of WWE. Because they don't have the viewership. If they have the
don't got the money, homie.
Well, it's not about the money.
They're selling now. These arenas. This is what when these tickets go on. You know why I haven't went to the show? Because when these tickets go on sale,
it's all in. Right?
All in's already sold out. But it's been sold out. They sell in instance. And I'm going to say this before Guillermo says another idiot comment too. I'm not a big follower as far as like attendance and stuff like that. But apparently, if you fill up a $10,000 seated area, it's a big deal. I don't know why or what, but New Japan, All In, they've been filling up those 10,000 plus seats, and apparently that's a big deal, and WWE has taken notice, because I guess there is some shows that WWE can't even fill 10,000 shows where they go. So I don't know how big of a deal it is as far as attendance wise, but they're getting the numbers up there, and they are being recognized. WWE, for crying out loud, put up Kenny Omega stuff when he did a thing with up down down.
Yeah.
You can defend it all you want. Look what happened when TNA got money. It freaking blew out of the water.
Yeah, because
Eric Bischoff came in. Yeah.
It was better when it's indie. Same thing with New Japan. I mean, like, these guys don't know how to build a business, and WWE is a business, and that's why it's top and it's still legit, and it makes billions of dollars annually. And you got New Japan in Cowtown, and that's a big win.
Sold out.
Well, speaking of business, that's it for round number 4 in come back and talk about new business in the MMA world. Golden Boy Mixed Martial Arts just announced it's going to have big business coming up later on in the year. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to the rest of our sponsors with Diazine Supplements. Diazine Supplements with morals, products that promote the active lifestyle, improve athletic performance, and provide health benefits. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Diazyme, that's DIOXYME, and visit diazyme.com. And also Girl Gang Wraps hand clothing and hand wrap accessories. Girl Gang Wraps was created with a girl that practices martial arts but also likes making a fashion statement. Fight gear for the fight babe, fight like a girl, and badass apparel. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Girl Gang Wraps, and visit girlgangwraps.com. Fifth and final round coming up next. Welcome back, fifth and final round. It was announced last week that Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 3, the rematch we've all been waiting for almost 10 years in the making, is finally going to happen. But not thanks to Bellator, not thanks to UFC, but thanks to good old Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya and his newly formed Golden Boy MMA. Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 3. No date or venue has been set yet, but they're already cutting promos on each other. They were at this past week's International Fight Week, which was so awkward. There was like a face-off between Tito and Chuck, but in the background was a UFC 225 logo everywhere. So there's all these photos with Tito and Chuck facing off for the Tito versus Liddell 3 fight with the UFC in the background. I don't know what the strategy is for Golden Boy Promotions on that one. But Guillermo, I want to ask you this. You were a business major in school. What's the business model going to be for Golden Boy Promotions to be successful? I mean, can they just do these wacky promotions like Bellator, or should they be legit? Should they maybe rattle up a bunch of young and upcoming fighters, or should they maybe just make their mark and these kind of wacky old guys fight at the top of the card?
Well, I think this wacky old guy fight is just the breaking ground of what I think the business model is gonna be. What the business model is gonna reflect a little bit more like boxing, where the boxers don't belong to a legitimate organization. They sign up to these promotions, and the promotions sell the fight for them, and then the fighters get a cut of that pay-per-view buy, or that promotion sales and ticket sales and all that, which I think in the long run will gain more money for all these fighters. I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather, what he was able to accomplish on his own, with all, make his own promotional company. And I think if you think about it, Conor McGregor, if he goes that route, and all these free agents, so I don't think it's going to follow the same Bellator, the same UFC. But the thing is, how do these guys make a name for themselves to sell themselves like boxing has, like the legitimate Canelo Alvarez, the Floyd Mayweather, the Oscar De La Hoyas in the past. I mean, I think that's the model that they're going for.
Manny Pacquiao,
they can steal talent from the UFC and Bellator if they're not getting the deals or the money that they want. And I think it's a great business model for them to have.
Because the traditional boxing pay-per-view just has the main event, right? It has Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez, right? And then the undercard is stacked with fighters from both promotions, but not fighting each other, just fighting kind of other tomato cans. That way, is that how boxing? Break it down. How is a boxing event usually kind of stacked up?
And see, that's what I was gonna say. Why it's a tricky thing, because in boxing you do fight a bunch of tomato cans, quote unquote,
to pay your record,
and then you get to a high record, and then that's how you get recognized. Because people are like, so and so is 40-0, this guy's 25-0, and now they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
And then that creates a buzz, and people are like, I want to see when he actually does step up to competition, because we've never seen him against competition.
Yeah.
If anything, they might get a little step up. Some guy that someone might have heard, or he's known as a brawler, or whatever it is. In MMA, you can't do that because MMA fighters can't fight that much. If you ever go look at a boxing's record, it's ridiculous of how much fights they get in there. There's no way you can get a guy that's 20. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get a guy 20-0, but MMA is such a special sport. It's very tough to even get fights together in MMA, let alone to get a record of 20-0. But with that said, though, what I do see a potential happening is a lot of the more fighters that are starting to get known sign shorter contracts with the UFC. For instance, I'll give you Guillermo's boy Costa, right? If he was smart, whatever his contract is, I have no idea. when he starts getting popular, he signs like a 2-year contract or 4-fight deal. Does his 4th fight, and then guess what? He doesn't re-sign, and now he becomes some kind of like free agent and takes up any fights that you want to see. Conor McGregor is so big right now, he doesn't need the UFC no more. He can literally tell Khabib, hey Khabib, if you can get out of your contract, or if you have one more fight it out, and me and you can book it together. And trust me, they'll make tons of money.
What cut out UFC?
Yeah. So what I think is going to happen is something like that. Some of these up and coming fighters, I think they're going to take shorter contracts and then go out there and do their own event. And to tell you the truth, I don't see UFC blacklisting these fighters, because they'll be dumb not to take one of those fighters back. Like, let's say Costa ventures off and does two events for himself, but then there's no much fighters out there. I can't see UFC saying like, nah, fool, we're not gonna bring you back.
Yeah.
Especially if he is a draw, come back, do another 2 fights, and then that's what I'm trying. I think I see more shorter contracts, maybe evolving from this, but I do see it coming towards something like that.
You're totally wrong in that aspect, because then the UFC would not try to help these guys out. They would start signing guys for 10-year contracts instead of short-term contracts.
But then they'll shoot UFC in. They're
stuck with the guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You hold them up from going somewhere else. But to your point that boxing, they fight so much, that's not true. How many times does Canelo fight a year? Twice?
Yeah.
Well, now,
but look at his record, though, Guillermo. When we started knowing who Canelo was, he was already 20-0. He was already 25-0, whatever it was.
Finish my point. That Canelo Alvarez, the reason why he has so many wins is because he fights tomato cans.
And that's what I was saying. But you can't do that in MMA. What do you do?
Yeah, and if Nagano fights these tomato cans that are in the IE or Millennium MMA and stuff, and then blow out all the heavyweights on there, and Joe Plummer, and he just throw him in the first round, and then he can fight like.
I'll give you a perfect example. At the time, Machida wasn't known, and John Fitch was on. Was it John Fitch? Was on a tear. I think it was John Fitch.
Yeah.
Was it? I forget what it was. But then they fought Machida, and they took the first loss. Oh, no, it was the guy that beat Ken Shamrock for the belt.
Rich Franklin?
Rich Franklin, yeah. Rich Franklin was on a big old run. He loses to Machida. Machida was an unknown fighter. See, and MMA, I think it's a little bit more tricky.
Outside the UFC.
Yeah, to really pick out those tomato cans, quote unquote. For crying out loud, Mickey Gall was supposed to be a tomato can. Now it turns out that he's probably going to be one of the better fighters they sign. It's just more tricky.
Hey, so real quick too, before we end out, Guillermo, obviously Golden Boy Boxing has a good relationship with HBO. Do you think Oscar De La Hoya tries to pull some strings and get this Tito Ortiz chuckle down on HBO?
You know it.
Yeah, of course.
HBO is hurting for some boxing too. That's what people don't know.
Wow.
Showtime be getting all the good fights.
I mean,
a new model for the MMA fighters to have a different avenue besides the UFC and Bellator, which is going to hurt UFC. I told you guys that we're starting to see the decline of UFC, and I mean, a good example is Brock Lesnar last night, and a good example is Golden Boy Promotions.
Yeah, well, that's Dynamite. That's a different conversation, because Dynamite has a lot to do with the decline of how the state of mixed martial arts is as we speak here. That's it for round number 5. We're done with today's show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, hanging in there with us. And one big final shout out to FightBookMMA.com, the only place you'll find real combat news from all over the world. A website you can trust with accurate news from all over combat sports world. They cover all the major promotions to the local ones. They are local MMA friendly. Just bookmark FightBookMMA.com. Do yourself a favor, get accurate news, up-to-date headlines. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at FightBookMMA. Like them on Facebook as well. Big shout out to the Dos Leprechauns podcast. Leprechaun Nate, Leprechaun Jason, keep it to you real. Notre Dame football, professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports, all that good stuff here. And then also one little thing we should probably talk about too is my conflicting feelings with the Lakers signing LeBron James. I've been a LeBron hater since day one, and now he's on my favorite team. And now they're signing guys like Rajon Rondo and McGee and Lance Stevenson. I am very confused. Magic, I'm very angry, so please call me Magic and let me know what the plan is. If not, I'm going to be sending DMs to Genie Bust day and night. I need to know what is going on here. And now there's news about them signing Melo, which I cannot understand at all. And I heard Kawhi Leonard's going to be a Clipper now, and it's not completely unacceptable. But with LeBron and the Lakers, I may have to jump ship to the Clipper bandwagon here. But what do you
just my loyalty will be questioned this season. But man, is LAFC so hot right now? DM FiveRoundMMA if you want to know about the Golden Wings.
Oh yeah, DM Golden Wings if you want to get on this. Gamma, what do you got before we're out of here?
Oh yeah, the cream of the crop.
Thanks for tuning in.